So the White House supercard is officially off the table, music. And now everyone's back to asking the same question that's been floating around for months now. The one that nobody seems to be able to answer with any real certainty. What's actually next for Conor McGregor? And here's the thing about this situation. When you're talking about a guy who has literally built his entire career on being unpredictable, on doing things that nobody sees coming, music, when he misses out on being part of a stage as massive and historic as this one was supposed to be, it doesn't feel like we're watching the end of his story unfold. No, it feels way more like we're standing at the beginning of whatever the next big explosive chapter is going to be for this man. And let me tell you, the retirement rumors are still swirling around the former champion like they always do. But honestly, those whispers are being completely overshadowed by this massive wave of buzz that's been created by experts, by active fighters, by analysts across the entire MMA world. All of But despite all the uncertainty, despite all the waiting and the speculation, McGregor himself has made one thing abundantly crystal clear through every interview, every social media post, every public appearance. He is by no means finished with this sport. Having been out of the competitive game for quite a while now, dealing with injuries, dealing with business ventures, dealing with all the noise that comes with being Conor McGregor, he has boldly announced his readiness to get back inside that octagon. And he's not just saying he wants to fight again. He's gone so far as to specifically announce that he plans to compete at 170 pounds, presenting himself as a larger, more powerful, more physically imposing version of the fighter we've seen dominate two weight classes before. McGregor has publicly claimed that he's been accepting every single opponent the UFC has thrown his way, even going out of his way to praise each and every potential matchup they presented to him, showing respect and willingness across the board. But here's where it gets frustrating for him and intriguing for us. The actual contract has yet to arrive in his hands, and so he remains stuck in this bizarre state of limbo, ready to go, but with nowhere to direct that energy. However, and this is where things get really interesting, he has announced that a big BMF title matchup is potentially on the table right now, which proves building on that momentum and that narrative. McGregor doubled down hard on what's really truly driving his comeback at this stage of his career. And it's not just money, it's not just fame, it's competition itself, that raw desire to test himself again. While he openly acknowledged the appeal and the prestige that comes with the BMF title, understanding what it represents in the culture of fighting, he made it absolutely clear that his main goal, His primary objective is to step back into that cage and show the entire world what his current level actually looks like after all this time away from active competition. Still, you can't ignore how perfectly the storyline fits together here. With his past history against Max Holloway going way back to their early UFC days and his long-standing heated rivalries with multiple Brazilian fighters over the years, the potential matchup possibilities are absolutely undeniable and loaded with narrative weight. But in classic vintage Conor McGregor fashion, the kind of move that reminds you why he's always been different, he also took the opportunity to question the very idea behind the belt itself, taking direct aim at the concept of extreme weight cuts in modern MMA and suggesting pretty bluntly that starving yourself to make weight, that's not what being a true BMF is actually about in his mind. At the exact same time, he leaned even further into the BMF narrative, really committing to this angle and making his position clear. He insisted pretty forcefully that the title should absolutely be contested at 170 pounds, emphasizing that this is the division where the belt was originally established by Nate Diaz, where it was born, where it actually means something from his perspective, and he's been vocal about this. Cutting down to 155 pounds undermines the entire spirit and essence of what the belt is supposed to represent. And he's made it known that he's ready to step in at his natural healthy weight, claim that title, and even run back a trilogy fight with Nate Diaz to settle the score once and for all, to finally put an end to that chapter that's been hanging in the air since their second fight. He also went out of his way to emphasize his openness to fighting anyone. And I mean literally anyone. Whether it's big established names with massive fan bases or relatively unknown champions. This is the frustrating part that he keeps returning to: the actual contracts never materialized. They never showed up, leaving him stuck in this maddening limbo, waiting and hoping that anything finally materializes into an actual signed fight.